My name is Dr. Eric Blum. I'm a sports chiropractor here in Westlake Village. I'm also currently the chiropractic consultant for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
How has COVID affected you in the last year?
So I'm assuming you mean practice-wise. You know, it's interesting. In some ways, I say we're blessed, basically, because we're still able to interact with people and get that human connection. You know, when it initially happened, I think we shut down maybe for a week or two. And then we opened up part-time, basically. And then probably after a month to two, we were back at full schedule again. Where we dropped, in all honesty, is the youth sports, the high school sports, the kids with overuse injuries and all that kind of stuff. And that's really what has hurt us the most. But as far as everything else goes, we're kind of stable and steady. So in that sense, we've been lucky. My office is not your typical office. So I have 5,000 square feet and 2,500 of that is a full-on training facility. Turf, weights, we do a ton of functional training in there. So I've been able to go in before the office. I get there at 7, I'll lift weights. I have a shower at my office.
Yeah, nice.
And then I see patients at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. I mean, the biggest opportunity is I was the official chiropractor for the Los Angeles Dodgers for roughly 5 years. I actually have a ring for us being the national championships in 2017. If the Astros didn't cheat, it would have been a World Series. Right? It is what it is. I have a gold medalist swimmer from Tunisia. If he goes to Japan, if the Olympics are on, it'll be his 6th straight Olympics. No one has ever done that before. Yeah. I got a bunch of the Rams players coming to my office who wanted me to travel privately with them, but I can't. I had a Lions, a football player that flew me to Detroit a few times throughout the season. I'm actually flying to Miami in 2 weeks for, it's public knowledge now. So Jake Paul, I got him ready for his last fight.
All right, you already know Dr. Blum is the GOAT. He helped me get ready for that big knockout. Couldn't have done it without him. Recovery is part of the whole thing, baby. You know it. Come on, Dr. Blum. Bah!
He actually did a documentary, and I'm in the documentary, and Netflix is talking about buying it right now. So here's what I say. Go to your roots. Do what you know best. And what I mean by that is I started swimming in college. So my background's swimming. My goal was to go to the Olympics always. And freshman year, I blew my knee out, ripped my quads, had, reconstructive knee surgery. And believe it or not, from that trial and error, that's how I got into chiropractic. So I said, I'm going to start working with swimmers. And I started talking to the local club team and the coach. And he's like, hey, I'd love some info. So came and, gave a workshop on shoulder injuries and knee issues and nutrition and so forth. And then I went to the University of Arizona. So I reached out to the head coach. He remembered me. It was the same coach. And he's like, look, why don't you help us out for the Pac-10 championships whenever we come to Long Beach. And at the time, Amanda Beard was the big Olympian on the swim team. So they had me go to the 2004 Olympic trials. And then you start meeting other chiropractors and athletes and this and that. And I got brought into USA Swimming, went through their process, started working with them. And then the coach from the club team I was working at ended up becoming the assistant coach at USC. Well, USC had we'll call it, all the professional athletes would train there, and they started taking me around the world with them, especially these foreigners who had no support staff here. You know, it's all about networking and who you know, and it's all random stuff for me. And then it just slowly evolved to working with trainers who are training these high-end athletes, and then they're working out of my office and we go back and forth. I had a patient who is a cop and made a comment about, oh, my friend's in town, he's a roadie for the Britney Spears tour. I said, hey, see if they need a chiropractor.
Yeah.
Called me up and said they need a chiropractor. Can we go to, let's go to the rehearsals. It is not glamorous. You know, people think, oh, it's this amazing life. You're traveling, you're playing and all that stuff. These guys are dead. I mean, basically, they do the show, they break it down, they get in the bus, they drive to the next city, they sleep in the parking lot. If they're there for a few days, they get a hotel room and they could shower and all that stuff. I treated all the dancers, the band members, some of the roadies. But then I got a call for the Taylor Swift tour, so I did that when they were in LA for the Red show. And then randomly, this lady called and said, hey, I'm with the Killers. We need you to come. And I'm like, how'd you get my name? She's like, how? That depends on the organization you're with. Okay. So any organization, the head trainer, they're the gatekeeper. It's actually not the ortho. It's the head trainers. Right. So whenever I go to the stadium, so for a 7 o'clock game, I'm arriving at the stadium around 2 o'clock. I always go to the head trainer. Hey, Neil, any updates, anything I need to be aware of with any of the guys, and we'll kind of review what's going on. Hey, you know what? These guys, they're fair game. If they come up and want an adjustment, go ahead, treat them. If, don't work on this guy's whatever because he has something and we're looking at it and so forth. I hate saying it, but you got to bite your tongue a lot and just, it's part of the process and the game that you're going to play within that professional training room. The other trainer let me do more. 9 out of 10 times he's like, yeah, go ahead and do it and so forth. We all respect each other. The egos, they're there, but they're not there in a sense. It's once you're in, you're in. So it's like, We're all together. It doesn't matter what you do, but you're all there. Well, yeah. I mean, look, anything you're comfortable with, you're going to excel at. And you're going to be the expert at that point because, the whole thing with the swimmers is, look, I understand stroke mechanics. So I'm able to talk to the coaches and say, look, can you look at his stroke work? Is he crossing midline? Is he doing this, this, and this? And I really get it. My partner at my office, part of the biggest thing to me is, one, communication. You have to know how to communicate with patients, with colleagues, with staff, and all that stuff. The other thing is get your hands going on people. Don't be afraid to touch them. You're not going to hurt them. I say the good and the bad of chiropractic. You know, if you go to a physical therapist's office, you could go to 100 different offices and you know exactly what you're going to get. You go to 100 different chiropractic offices, you have no clue what you're stepping into. So you have to go to different offices so you're able to say, I like what that guy does. I did not care for that. And then you pick and choose and you make what you want and where your heart is and where you want to go.